If you're still testing Facebook ads like you did back in 2024, then you're essentially wasting time, money, and resources because the old playbook just doesn't work anymore. Now there's a new way to test creative with Meta ads that actually align with how the platform works today. And when you understand it, scaling will get a lot simpler for you. And what is great about it is that you don't need fancy funnels, manipulative copy, or complex ad strategies to make this work for you. All you need is this simple two-step Andromeda proven testing framework that actually aligns with how this advertising platform is working right now. Master this and you'll be consistently able to launch profitable creatives, build real ad creative diversity in your ad accounts, and unlock all of Meta's potential machine learning power to bring you consistently profitable customers into your business. In this video, I'll break it all down step by step with examples from real brands using this framework that are making 7, 8, and 9 figures. And in case we haven't met yet, my name is Oli. I've spent the last 6 years managing and advising for fast-growing companies on how to profitably scale with Meta ads. And today in this video, I'm going to hand you the exact strategy that we use for our clients to get you a real look behind the scenes on how we do this for our portfolio. There's actually quite a big misconception that a lot of advertisers have, including myself when I was starting out, and that is thinking that it's only the ad itself and what you actually see in the ad, the video, the image, the text, that really matters in terms of how an ad is going to perform. And that if you have a good video, if you have a good image, if the text is written good, then the ad is going to perform good. But there is another aspect that has an even bigger impact on the ad performance. And that is the timing of when you show this ad and to whom you show it to and how relevant that is to the person you're showing it to. Because just think about it, like even if an ad was very simple, if it wasn't super sophisticated, and if you didn't spend hundreds of thousands of dollars building out this ad to really kind of figure out how you can get into the psychology and convince people to buy something, even without that, if you just were to show something to someone when they are in the perfect state of needing that offer, then it's very likely they will convert because the timing is just so perfect. And historically, Meta Ads has been the best advertising platform because of this, because it's so good at matching the ad with the relevant person at the perfect timing. Just think about it, like for a long time, there was this whole conception that Meta was listening to your phone and they could listen to the conversations you were having because you felt as if that was true because all of a sudden you're talking about something with a friend. You're talking about a product that you need or something that you should buy. And then in the next 5 minutes, you get an ad on your phone showing that product. And you think, oh, Meta is listening to my phone. But the truth is, Meta just has so many data points and it's such a powerful advertising platform. So it's extremely good at predicting when it will be the best time to show you an ad. And it was so good at doing this to the point where it felt like it was listening to your phone, which is crazy. Now, of course, after the iOS changes and a lot of privacy concerns, and it's being a lot harder to track and pass back data to Meta, it is still one of the most powerful advertising platforms. And if you're able to tap into this aspect of when and who you show the ads to, that has a big impact on why some ads will perform super well. So when you're testing ads, and we have experienced this a lot with our portfolio, very often we are super surprised about what works best. And sometimes, I'm going to be honest, I see things working that I just didn't think was going to work. And that's, of course, also a reason why it's very important to test different types of ads. But a big reason for that is because of this aspect here. Like Meta was good at matching it with the right person at the right time. And now with Meta's new machine learning system, Andromeda, if you don't know about it, I made a separate video. I will leave the link in the description explaining Meta's new machine learning system. Essentially what it means for us as advertisers is just that this is a massive upgrade to how well Meta is able to match the ad with the user. But the way it works now is very different from what it was before. And if you really want to be able to tap into the powerful algorithm that Meta has, then you need a new testing framework and you need to think about creative testing in a very different way compared to what we did previously. Simply explain, and I'll kind of summarize the separate video I made regarding Andromeda. Again, link is in the description. But essentially, because Meta has become such a powerful and popular advertising platform, businesses are testing a lot more creative. They're uploading a lot more assets. And for Meta to be able to understand all of these assets and be able to match them with users on their platform, it needed an upgrade. It needed a more powerful machine learning system. So that is essentially what Andromeda is. It's now able to match the ad with users on Facebook and Instagram at a much larger scale. And if you tap into this by having way more creative diversity is a word that's thrown out a lot these days, and I'll explain in a second exactly what that means so you understand it. But if you have creative diversity these days, you are able to tap into Andromeda. And that will make the algorithm be able to work for you way more effectively and find a lot more potential customers. So what does creative diversity actually mean? As you can see on my screen here, creative diversity is kind of the intersection between what I call format diversity and persona diversity. When you have both of these two things, that's when you really tap into creative diversity. So format diversity is essentially just being able to run with multiple different formats at the same time to take advantage of all of the available placements that you have when you run ads on Meta. So having different videos, different statics, so just like static images, carousels, UGC style content, meme type ads that have some humor to them, ugly ads. If you don't know about ugly ads, that's essentially just content that doesn't look like ads at all. So it just blends in on the platform without looking like an ad. And aesthetic ads, for example, fashion brands and those things, aesthetic ads is more important to kind of make them pop out. So format diversity kind of taps into the format and how you put together the ad. And on the other side, we have persona diversity. And this pretty much taps into who you're targeting with your ad, not the targeting on the ad set, but who will look at your ad and resonate with it. And within persona diversity, you have ads that tap into different age groups. So different angles that resonate differently depending on the age and gender of that person that you're trying to target with your ads. Callouts. So for example, if you want to target moms specifically with an ad, you would just call out attention all moms. And then you would state something else that resonates with your product or offer. The offer that you're running with, like sometimes you can have a very specific offer that is just for a specific type of person. And if you state that in the ad, you will tap into persona diversity if you have multiple different offers to tap into different personas. Also problems, that's a big one. Sometimes you will sell a product or service that solves multiple problems, but some of them will be more important for one part of your audience versus another. As an example, let's say you're selling a pillow that solves neck pain for people. That pillow can be relevant for, a woman that's 65 plus, but it can also solve a problem for athletes or for office workers that are spending a lot of time in the office and they have neck pain. Now, you will tap into the problem of neck pain with different types of ads, depending if you're going after a woman 65 plus or somebody younger in the office or an athlete, right? So problems is a big one. And the way you make the person resonate with the problem can be very diverse. And that's also a big part of persona diversity. Then you have the actual creators as well. Like what are the people in the ad? So for example, if you were to advertise, a product to me, I would be more open to like checking it out if I saw that this was for males in their late 20s. Like for example, if I was seeing an ad for, a cap, let's say I want to buy a cap, but the ad is showing a woman wearing it, I will not resonate with it as much. But if you show me, somebody that I, look up to or aspire to be like that is wearing the product, then that creator is going to tap more into me and my persona. So this is exactly what persona diversity is. And then when you combine both format diversity and persona diversity, that's pretty much when you have the ultimate creative diversity. You're now tapping into all of the different personas within the audience that you could be targeting, that your offer could be relevant for, while you're also tapping into all of the available placements to target these people. Because when they're on social media, they might be able to see your ads on, newsfeed on Instagram or Facebook. They might also be able to see the ad when they're going through stories, when they're in Messenger. And when you have proper creative diversity in your ad account, you will be able to take full advantage of Andromeda, Meta's new machine learning system. So now let's look at what this actually looks like in real life. So one brand here that has a lot of creative diversity is AG1, so Athletic Greens. If you're not familiar with them, you might have been living under a rock. I mean, they're doing a lot of advertising. They're also going really heavy on like partnerships with ambassadors and influencers and creators. But as we can see here, my point is they have a lot of creative diversity. So let's just start at the top here. So this ad right here has offer diversity. As you can see here, they have 25% off for first responders, okay? Very specific. This is going to tap into one very specific part of their audience. And it's also building in some credibility for the brand right here. This one, again, totally different type of format. So this taps into format diversity. So as you can see here, they're running like a partnership ad with the creator. And as you can see, this is like a very meme style type of format. So this is definitely tapping into what we call format diversity. You can't even see the product in here. Then we have a totally different format again with Andrew Huberman, building a lot of credibility because they're able to work with Andrew Huberman, of course, which not a lot of businesses can work with people at this level. But again, it just goes to show like the amount of diversity they have, because some people will, be very familiar with Andrew Huberman. So this ad will kind of over time be targeted to that type of person. And again, you can see the ad is way more professional, more like testimonial style, building on a lot of credibility, which is a totally different format, like if you compare it to the meme format, right? Then we have this one right here, which is kind of like tapping into a challenge. So they're kind of angling their offer a slightly different way. And it's like a UGC style, like creator style video here. And again, it's not really showing the product. So very, very interesting. Here they have another static image again. And here they're showing the actual offer, as you can see. And here you can see like a comparison ad that's building a lot of contrast. So it's like a before, after, or us versus them type format, which works really well because it's very easy to understand. It just kind of explains the benefits immediately. Instead of taking all these pills, you can just take this drink and you save money, right? Super simple to understand and visually well explained with like a bold statement on the top here. So again, totally different format compared to the other things that we just looked at. And again, they're running kind of similar type format where they show you how much you save with their product. So again, this is tapping into format diversity. But beneath it all, you can also see that they have different types of partnerships. So here you can see they're using a creator that is tapping into an older male audience, right? And then they also have other videos they're tapping into the female audience. As you can see here, for example, they're tapping into like older women with some UGC style content. So that taps into persona diversity, as you can see. Again, another one that is tapping into a little bit of a younger female. And the list goes on and on. They're really able to tap into both format diversity, having a lot of statics, a lot of different type of formats, but also a lot of different type of creators and people in their ads. And that's essentially how they're able to utilize Andromeda, because now the algorithm has so much to work with. And over time, as it gathers data, it will be able to understand what ad to put in front of what type of person at what time, like what's the timing, when should they put this ad in front of that person as well. And that is exactly how you need to do it to get the best results with meta ads today. Now, if you want some help on how you can actually make iterations and think of like different ad angles, hooks, and different formats you can test, I've created a creative strategist that can help you. So if you want free access to my creative strategist, I've built in hundreds of different ad angles and give it a lot of context on like how to actually test in the process that we're using. So if you want to get this for free, just click the link in the description below and I'll send that to your email. But with saying all of that, not every business has the amount of money that AG1 has to pour into creating all of that diversity, all of these different creators, all of these partnerships. A very few amount of businesses can actually do that. So if you are more in starting phases and you're kind of scaling up, but you're far, far away from the AG1 level, what should you focus on at your stage? And the answer is you should do whatever gives you the best return on your effort. So let's talk about one scenario first. It depends on the stage you're in. So right now, if you're a business that have kind of figured out a persona that is working for you. So if you know that, let's say, women 65 plus is working really, really well for you, then the next step is going to be understanding, can it work even better? Is there more juice to squeeze out of this specific persona? Because we don't want to like start spending a lot of resources and trying to tap into different personas that we don't yet know is going to work. So there's definitely a balance between having a lot of diversity versus doubling down on what's working. At some point, it probably will make sense for you to go broad, but it doesn't mean that right now you should be starting to invest in multiple different creators and multiple different content that could be relevant for different personas. So if you already have something that's working super well for you, the first step is capitalizing the most you can on that persona by just adding more format diversity, because that is going to be easier. You already have the content for this persona. You just want to create more types of formats towards that specific persona. So that is making different video lengths, trying different hooks, stating the problem slightly differently, angling it slightly differently, try different offers, but still offers that would resonate with that specific persona, and try statics, carousels, and different type of formats, okay? Because that's way easier for you, and it's more likely you can get a better return on that effort up front before you start investing in getting in content that would resonate with a broader range of personas. Now, scenario 2 is that you have one persona is working, but when you start investing in format diversity, you're seeing diminishing returns and you're not able to scale it. If that is the case, then you should add on persona diversity. But first, you want to kind of max out that potential. If you already have a persona that's working well, you have a concept that is working well, just make sure that you're capitalizing as much as you possibly can on that before you start to test other stuff. Because the truth is, at the end of the day, you're going to have limited focus and limited resources. So if something is working, just make sure you double down on it until it stops working. And after you've done that, that is when you add on persona diversity. And this is exactly what we're currently doing for one of our clients. As an example, they're now spending more than 10,000 on ads per day. So they're spending a lot on ads, and they've kind of maxed out their potential for that original concept and original persona that was working really well for them. So what they want to do now is, because they're getting so much data on a daily basis fed into their ad account, they want to see if they're able to add on some different creatives to tap into different personas to scale even more volume. So they're already doing massive volume, but they want to see if they can scale it even further. They have a lot of scaling potential. And that's exactly why we're adding on persona diversity, because at this stage, the business has the capital, it has the resources to go broader. And when we try to do more format testing within what's already proven to work, we're seeing diminishing returns, because like the best performers is already performing so well that we're not able to get anything else to perform better. So we kind of maxed out the available format diversity, and that is why we're now tapping into the persona diversity. So how do you actually test ads when you've created, different formats and different persona ads? How do you test them to scale? So this is the testing framework that we use after Andromeda. So essentially what you want to do is you want to have one testing campaign and one scaling campaign. Now, depending on the stage of your business, you want to allocate a spend accordingly. So if you already have a lot of proven winners and you want to maintain that momentum, then we would definitely have most of the budget on the scaling campaign. So about 60 to 80% would go straight to scaling. Now, for the rest of the budget that you use on Meta, you would have about 20 to 40% that goes into testing. But if you are a business in a stage where you don't really have any super proven winners yet and they're not super scalable, then you want to flip this around and you want to invest most in the testing. So you would just flip it. So it would be 60 to 80% testing and 20 to 40 on scaling. Now let's start with the testing campaign. The setup you want to have here is just a CBO campaign. You want to have budget type daily, of course, and bid strategy set to highest volume, highest value, depending on your business there. Now, every week you want to launch new ads, and you want to launch them in a separate ad set. So every week what we do, we launch 4 to 6 new ads, and you can definitely do more than this. The reason why we do 4 to 6 is because that is the sweet spot where we can maintain the quality for every batch that we launch. Now, each batch is essentially just a new type of concept we're testing. So it's either tapping into format diversity or persona diversity or both. So it just depends. And again, it depends on the stage of your business and what your current objective is. Is it to go broader, or is it to double down and see if you can improve the performance for what is already working for you? Now, we want to exclude existing customers from this testing because we don't want that to feed into the results. When you launch the new ad set, you might get better results right off the bat if you include existing customers, but we want to make sure that we push all of these new tests straight to a cold audience. Then what we do, we publish them in here and we let them sit there for at least 7 days before we make a decision. Now, again, the testing period that you should look at when you consider the results before you make any conclusions of if you should keep it or turn it off, it depends on your customer journey. If you have a longer customer journey, of course, you should give it more time before you make a decision. But if you know that on average, from the time somebody sees your ad to becoming a customer, if that's just like 3-4 days on average, then that is something you should keep in mind when you're looking at the results. So in that case, a week should be sufficient to make a reliable decision on if you should keep or pause that ad set. Now, over time, you will start to find some winners within some of these batches. And what you do then is that you take that ad and you put it into this Advantage plus sales campaign. Within this broad ad set, it's just one broad ad set, excluding existing customer here as well. And over time, you can have up to 50 active ads in here. Now, very rarely will you actually get to a point where you have 50 active ads, because some of them will stop working and some of them will not really get any spend. So even though they're active in the broad ad set, they're not getting any money allocated to them. But what will happen is that you will probably have 5, 10, 15 ads that are getting consistent spend, and they will be able to tap into both the format diversity and the persona diversity, which gives the algorithm way more to work with and allows you to tap into that powerful machine learning system. Now, a key thing to keep in mind before you put it in as a winner is that, of course, this ad that you put into the scaling campaign needs to hit your target CPA or ROAS, so the cost per result or the ROAS that you need. But it also needs volume of spend before we deem it a winner. So it needs to be hitting a volume of spend that makes us trust that once we put this ad into the scaling campaign, it will continue to perform at scale. So we don't want to just take those outliers that have a little bit of spend but an amazing ROAS, because honestly, that is just random results. It happens very often with different accounts. You have like one ad, it gets a little bit of spend, and then it gets one conversion that has a big value, and then the ROAS looks amazing. But that does not indicate that it's scalable results. So only scalable results is what we introduce into the scaling campaign. Another thing that's super important is to make sure that you keep the social engagement on the ads from the testing campaign as you put them into the scaling campaign. And the way that we found the best way to do that is to just duplicate the ad ID and use existing post feature when you introduce the ad here, and then use that ad ID to make sure that you keep all of the social engagement. Now, if it's getting most of the social engagement on Facebook, then you would essentially use the Facebook post ID. If it is on Instagram, then you would use the Instagram post ID. Unfortunately, you can't do both, but essentially what we see across the accounts that we manage is that for Facebook, the engagement has more impact on the results. So if we get a lot of results from Facebook, we would like to use the Facebook ID when we introduce it to the scaling campaign. Now, within the scaling campaign, when you have built up a lot of momentum, what you can consider start doing is to use a ROAS goal or a cost per result goal. This is essentially a bid strategy that allows you to protect profitability. And I've made a separate video explaining that in more detail, but I would highly recommend doing that when you have a lot of consistent data coming into the scaling campaign, because we want to maintain that profitability. It's very important that we let Meta know what ROAS that we need or what cost per result that we need in order to profitably advertise on their platform. So definitely you can do that with the scaling campaign. But with the testing campaign, this is where we do the testing. So you would need to use a highest volume bid strategy to just make sure that you're constantly investing in finding new winners for your ad account. And over time, after running this system, you will be able to end up with creative diversity, and you will see way better performance in your account. Also, if you have any questions to anything that I discussed in this video, let me know in the comments below. And if you're looking to take your business to the next level and you want somebody to help you and guide you through the way of actually getting results for your specific business, then you can book a call with me using the link in the description. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one.